Here's a beautiful yacht for sale. It's a 54-foot Sparkman and Stevens aluminum hulled sailing boat, and probably has room in it for about 4 people to sleep. Could be 6. It's quite long, 54 foot, and selling for $195,000. Wow. That's a price of a house or two in some places in the United States, but it's also maybe 10% of the cost of a house in other places. So it could be a way to save money if you're buying a house, if you'd rather live aboard a boat. But anyway, this is a video about making these kind of financial decisions. And welcome to the Excellent Universe channel, trying to help you have a good life, healthy planet, less pollution, longer, happier life, and an excellent universe, because we also include how to keep the man-made dangerous trash out of the solar system. And so cover many topics, and if you just follow my advice and help spread the videos, then we can have a much better time on the planet, in the universe. Okay, so thank you. So please do click on the thumbs up button down there to like the videos, and also you can subscribe, and if you do comments, that's going to help other people to see the videos as well. All those things will help. And if you manage to spread all these ideas, then we're going to have a much better time on the planet. So so we have these nice boats here, and this video is about how do you make good financial decisions. Should you buy a boat like that? And some people say, oh, well, it's a wonderful idea because it's so much less than the cost of a house. And well, it's true, but you could also live someplace where the houses cost a lot less. This is the United States, but there are countries you could move to and you could live for a lot less. And buying a boat is, not always a solution. It actually could be cheaper just to rent a room somewhere, and because you think, well, when you rent something, then you don't have ownership, so how could that be a better deal? Well, with boats, you have a lot of constant upkeep and repairs, and if you don't own the land where the dock is, you could also be paying over $1,000, maybe could be $2,000 a month just for the dock fees if you're going to be living on the boat. And excuse me, my nose is a little bit runny. And so it might not be a good decision. So if you have a very high income and you can handle $1,000 or $2,000 a month in the dock fees, plus all the repairs and upkeep that a boat needs, then I guess if you have the resources, I would never borrow money. Don't borrow money. What you need to do is cut your spending to the point where you can save and invest the money if you're going to buy something. And some people say, unless you can afford 3 of them, you shouldn't even consider buying 1 of them. And of course that means 3 of them with cash, because if you borrow money to buy something, then you might end up paying twice as much or more than the purchase price because of the interest and the long term that you have to pay that money back, you know. Same thing goes with buying cars. A lot of people spend so much money buying a new car, and then they might have financing for 3 years or something, and it might not be double the original purchase price of the car, but it could be a lot that they end up paying. They end up paying more, and they don't even think about it or realize it, many of them. And at some point, if you don't pay cash and you've borrowed money, and then if you lose your income somehow, maybe you lose your job or something, then you can't even pay, perhaps you can't even pay for the car payment or whatever it is, maybe the dock fees over here or whatever. And so you could be basically repossess. A bank or a financing company could repossess whatever it was that you thought you were buying, because it's not yours, and they take it. You don't have access to it. It's gone, all your money. Or if you sell it, you could sell it before that happens, but then you still owe the loan payments, and you might end up having to pay more. Say you buy a boat for $170,000, and but you sell the boat, but you can only manage to sell it for $150,000. But you have a loan for $170,000 plus interest, so you're still stuck, paying another maybe $50,000, basically. So you've lost $50,000 by borrowing $170,000. Something like that. So, and then you have nothing. You don't have a boat, you don't have a place. If that was your place that you were planning to live. Now, if you have so much money that you can pay cash for a boat and you don't even want to live there, then, maybe you're wealthy, or you've got investments that, keep your income coming in. Well, then you're lucky, so you don't need this kind of video, I guess. But I'd say most people on the planet are not in that situation. So, but anyway, so the main points are: don't borrow money. It costs you more. You gotta be wise, because if you can figure out how to save up money and buy something in cash, then you know how to live in a way where you're earning more money than you're spending. And that's what you always need to do. Because if you go the other way, where you're spending more money than you have, or spending more money than you're earning, it's inevitable that you're going to get into a situation at some point in your life where you spent too much, not earning enough, and then you run into a financial crisis, whether it's bankruptcy or just having to sell everything and ending up with very little. And excuse me. So that's another reason why even Dave Ramsey, although I don't agree with his ideas all the time, but he's a famous guy. I believe more in science, let me just say that. And I'm not reading ancient textbooks, let's say that. Anything over 100 years, not trustworthy. Okay. But anyway, so famous financial people say, like, don't borrow money, because you get into a situation right now. It's 2021. It's very important for you to understand that we could come into a big recession, and if you have investments, the value of your investments, if it's in the stock market, it could go down more than 60%. In fact, it is predicted at this time. And so money that you might think is there could be greatly reduced, and people can be losing their work if we have a major financial crisis. And yes, unfortunately, we're headed that way because people are aware the United States has been inflating the money supply, causes inflation. Inflating the money supply, inflation. Yes, it does. And so prices are going up. It's going to cause a lot of disruption and trouble with companies. Prices are going up, and then the cost of the inputs for things that you want to buy, even to the level of food, but other, goods, durable goods and services. If everything costs more for the company, steel and energy and everything like that, caused by inflation, and then maybe people are not willing to pay a higher price, and so sales can go down. And if you have a situation, even there's sort of a boom and bust cycle. If you have a boom, which we sort of were having before the pandemic, but if you have very low unemployment, then even for companies, the cost of hiring people becomes very high, and they have to raise wages, and so that also hurts corporate profit, and so then you can have a bust where they raise prices, and along with monetary inflation, you have a crash, and so then you might have another recession, and demand goes down for goods, and then people start getting laid off, and they start spending less, and they're worried, and so this is probably coming up. People are predicting this. They're predicting it all the time because sometime in the future it's going to happen, right? So it will happen sometime. I'm not saying when, because I don't know, but now a stock market crash is not the same thing as a recession, and the amount that a stock market goes down during a recession might not be that big, and you could have a stock market crash at other times when things look wonderful. And I just wanted to make that clear for you people, because a lot of times the media get very confused. If you watch news or something, they're like, oh, the markets are in big trouble and this is a recession. Well, not necessarily. It's not necessarily the same thing. So okay, well, anyway, I hope I made my point to have financial success. Spend less than you earn. It's just a basic principle, okay? And if you have to cut back, one way to cut back, well, don't eat out at restaurants, okay? Your living space, you can, if you own a place, you can rent the entire thing and move to a cheaper place. And yes, I did that. So there's a house that I rent out. It pays me actually 3 times more than the tiny room that I live in. So I live in a small room. It's about $500 a month, and I don't eat out at fancy restaurants, hardly. Can't remember exactly when I did, although I'm not saying I cook at home all the time, but I might get something that's very inexpensive. And there's some evidence, unfortunately I'm still single, I wouldn't mind having the right woman, and anything that might be a different situation. Living at home and cooking could be wonderful with the right woman, but for a single person, there's some evidence that buying food and stocking a refrigerator and cooking at home is not always cheaper than buying, although fast food's not healthy usually, but you can buy salads and as well, and have fish and other